know when something has meaning? How do you know when something happened for a reason? It wasn't just some coincidence, it was meant to be. I like the idea that there is no such thing as chance, that everything happens for a reason, that nothing that is meant for you can ever miss you, etc. But I don't know if I believe that 100%. I don't think that it's black or white, that either everything has meaning or nothing has meaning at all. I think it exists in a gray area. But if some things have meaning and some things don't, how do you know when something is significant? If some things are fate and some things are chance, how do you know what's what and when? Why don't we say that the first time that something happens, that is chance, pure coincidence. If that thing happens for a second time, it could still be chance, but as a smart person, which I believe you to be, you notice that this feels familiar. This has happened before, and you make a mental note that maybe there's something more here. But if that same thing happens for a third time, at this point, this is evidence-based. 1, 2, 3, yeah. We're approaching statistic significance here. Good morning, everybody. Despite how it may seem, I am not a highly decorated philosopher. Though hard to believe, I have yet to win a single Nobel Prize. No, my name is Madeline Chi, and I just woke up bleeding out of my vagina in a stranger's bed. Not because I was getting any, but because I am cat sitting. I am humble enough to admit to you that as a 26-year-old girl living in the Big Apple, living in the greatest and most expensive city on earth, that I'm known to pick up a couple odd jobs here or there in the hopes that I may one day squirrel away enough money to retire before the age of 70. Well, I still got a couple good years left in these bones. So yes, I am cat sitting. Sure, shedding your uterine lining in a stranger's home is intimate, but the reason I bring it up is to present to you a discovery that I've just made. A pattern within my own menstruation has just crossed the threshold of meaning and significance. That's right. I, Madeline Chi, junior philosopher, hustler, ex-theater kid, and 2012 Kesha enthusiast, have started my period for the past 3 months on the new moon, to the date. I always say that I know a lot about astrology for someone who knows nothing about astrology. But with this undeniable statistic significance, I, a woman of science, took myself to the most reputable corner of the internet to do some research. And it was there on TikTok that I learned that there's a term for people like me. I'm not alone. There are thousands of us out there with uteruses that bleed in tempo with the new moon. I learned that people like me are what they call a white witch.
White witches bleed on the new moon and ovulate during the full moon. So if you got your period, then you are a white witch on your white moon cycle.
I said I resent that. I am an Asian American woman, and just because I'm mixed race does not make me any less Chinese. And they said, ma'am, this is not Merriam-Webster, this is TikTok. And I'm a 17-year-old girl in my mom's basement holding crystals. Fair enough. I'll give them that. I decided perhaps that I should infer some meaning on my own, so I donned my white puffer lab jacket and delved into the next step of the scientific method, word association. I sat with the words blood, moon, vampire, werewolf, vampire, werewolf, somewhere in between. She-wolf, she-wolf, she-wolf. Now, like most women of my generation, I'm not particularly in love with my body, but I do know that my hips don't lie. Or so I've been told by many a Madewell store sales associate trying to help me find a pair of jeans that'll fit me in both the waist and butt. This is science. I am a she-wolf. And what is the one thing that we know to be true about she-wolves as a society? You must let them out so they can what? Breathe. Let them out so they can breathe. Anyway, it's a Sunday. It's a new moon and I am bleeding out of my vagina, so let's get out of here so we can breathe. Hello?
You keep saying you got something for me, something you call love.
God, my makeup looks so much better when I do it in front of floor-to-ceiling windows. The natural light just... Also, I'm watching all of these people. Another perk of the high-rise floor-to-ceiling windows is I'm seeing all of these people like running around on this like waterfront boardwalk outside, and I'm like, oh, they're so productive. The world is alive. Everyone's doing stuff. Basically, I'm getting FOMO, and it's motivating me to get out of the house. Now, does that justify spending like 4 times more in rent than I already do in this godforsaken city? No, I wouldn't even qualify for the lease. But what's a girl to do while doing her makeup on day 1 of her period other than dream about a different life?
When you ought to be truthin', and you keep losing when you ought to not.
Now, don't be alarmed. I am going to put this liquid eyeliner that I bought at the drugstore basically in my eyeball, but it works for me.
Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet.
High risk, high reward. Despite how pop culture would like you to believe it, I don't need to make weird shapes with my mouth in order to apply my mascara, but I do need to like hover my eye a centimeter open. I suffer from a lip condition that I personally call lizard asshole, and it is a chronic condition in which I am constantly applying aquifer, constantly hydrating, and doing whatever I can to infuse my lips and my body with hydration. But despite my best efforts, my lips always look like a lizard's asshole. So the most important thing to me when I'm putting anything on my lips is it hydrating? We can bring back any piece of 2016 and I will live through it except the matte lipstick. That trend nearly killed me, nearly took my life. I wear this necklace every day, but it feels particularly right as I shed my uterine lining.
Are you ready, Boots? Start walking.
Okay. Your bed, your rules. Your bed, your rules. Okay, you're not sure about me, and that's okay. A lot of people aren't.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. Yeah. You keep lying when you ought to be truthin', and you keep losing when you ought to not bet. You keep saying when you ought to be a changin'. Now what's right is right, but you ain't been right yet. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you. You keep playing where you shouldn't be playing, and you keep thinking that you'll never get burned. Ha! I just found me a brand new box of matches, yeah. And what he knows you ain't had time to learn. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
We are home prematurely because I forgot one of the most critical ingredients for today's mission, which is tampons. So I'm gonna go reinforce the dam, and then we will go on to the next leg of our mission in Manhattan to go to Best Buy, where dreams are made.
Doors closed.
Do you like the foot-long churro or the pretzel better? Which is more popular? Okay, I'll get the churro then, please. I need to get an external hard drive so bad. It is nobody's business. I have been fighting for my life. Rather, my MacBook has been fighting for its life while I try to edit on Final Cut for the past like 2 weeks. So this is definitely needed for my MacBook's health and my own mental sanity, because I had about 62 mental breakdowns trying to export my last video. We're home from Best Buy. It was a relative success. As a reminder, this is not my cat. Do not get attached. That's just as much of a reminder to myself as it is to you. Best Buy was a success. I didn't film in there because I was walking around aimless and embarrassed because I had no idea what was what. Until I finally looked helpless enough that someone came up to help me, and I simply bought whatever he recommended. But I was on my way home and listening to music on the train, and this song came on that reminds me of my dog that passed away last summer, and all of a sudden I got just so like overwhelmed with the feeling of missing her. And it's so crazy how like grief comes in waves, because first of all, I know I'm bleeding in a menstrual fashion right now, which makes me feel a little bit extra tender and sensitive. But I woke up this morning and I saw a memory pop up in my Photos app, my dog Chilu and I was like, oh, okay, you're done with me. It's fine. I'm just processing my grief about how I have no animal in my life right now. I got a notification this morning on my phone of like a picture of us, a photo memory, and I was like, wow, I can really feel like happy when I see a photo of us together now. Where before, in my process of grief, I would just go spiraling into a deep, dark depression hole when I would see a picture of us, because I would think of like what I lost. Now I can feel happy because I'm like, oh, I'm so grateful that I got to have her in my life. But then the kicker with grief is that you don't know when you're gonna get pulled which direction. And now I'm surfing the waves again, because when I heard that song Come On Shuffle on the subway, I was just like immediately fighting back tears. Not that I'm opposed to crying on the subway. I love a good cathartic subway cry, but I was like, not right now, not right now. Let's get home, have a spicy little gummy, get in our PJs, and then cry. My life just feels kind of lonely right now. I have really great friends, but I feel like I don't really know what I'm existing for. And like, I'm aware that that's exactly where you're supposed to be when you're like a 20-something. Figuring everything out is like your main objective. But I think I felt so shielded from that when I had Chilu, my dog, because it didn't matter if like I was working the worst job ever. It didn't matter if nobody wanted to date me or someone just stomped all over my heart, or if like my friends lived in different cities. Everything felt so worth it because I had her. And after she passed, I was like struck with this feeling that I don't know what the hell I am here for. Like this existential dread of like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? It was like empty nest syndrome. I felt kind of like a mom who like had her kid grow up and go away to college. And then I was like, oh, I've been a stay-at-home mom. I have been just making this child my entire life, and I loved doing it and I don't regret a second of it. But now that she's away, what the hell am I doing here? So when the dust of depression kind of settled, I was like, I'm gonna start a podcast, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, I'm gonna take a dance class, I'm gonna take an acting class. And I'm loving doing all of those things. That's like where I'm at today. It is really, really fun. It has been super like fulfilling, and it also feels very scary. And I think today I just kind of like wish I could do something scary with my best friend by my side. But I am doing scary things alone. I don't know if I'll include any of this, but it feels like new moon relevant. New moons are about new beginnings, things that you are moving past and moving into.
I don't have a love.